All right, Dr. Seuss. That's good.
But Dr. Seuss's story captured its essence. In case you haven't already read it to your kids 50 times and know it by heart, here's the plot.
Don't
There's
sneeze.
a group of furry pear-shaped animals called Sneetches who live on what looks like a faraway planet. Now, if that sounds weird to you, be aware that Dr. Seuss rarely drew people, probably because he didn't want to elevate one kind of person over any other kind of person.
So wait, Tucker, if I'm getting this right, Dr. Seuss, for whatever reason, wanted to make us all look equal, and his goal was to fight against racism in his books, and he didn't draw people so that folks wouldn't be talking like, yeah, you know, the black person's more muscular than the white guy, and I'm mad about that. Or the black people like, why the white guy always look rich and black people look like they're, you know. But he eliminated all that by drawing fictional characters. I mean, maybe the liberals are going after misappropriation of these mythical characters here. We should get real aliens to play that part right there, because that's a stereotype against these Sneetches or whatever they are. Okay, that's misappropriation and all of that mess, because you best believe they would say something.
Amazing.
Well, let's continue.
That's what it is.
Deep metaphor, this explanation right here, Tucker. Break it down.
He wasn't a racist. In any case, there are two groups of Sneetches in the story. Those with star-shaped designs on their stomachs and those without. There's no real difference between the two groups, but the Sneetches don't know that.
They don't?
They're convinced that stars are all important. So they spend the entire story jockeying for position based on their relative starness.
Yeah.
At various points in the story, stars on the stomach are deemed socially favorable. At others, they're considered a mark of disgrace.
Right.
And the Sneetches run around frantically trying to keep up with the changing demands of star fashion.
I'm focused.
Until they realize in the uplifting final pages of the story that none of it matters. Underneath the stars are all the same. They're all Sneetches. Who cares who's got a star? What matters isn't the group you come from. What matters is you.
To a stupid species.
Even if
Did y'all hear that? Does that sound like he's promoting racism? Does that sound like Dr. Seuss' mission was to, I mean, because I'm just wondering, I'm pretty educated. I think I got some reasoning skills. I think if he was racist, the conclusion would be all of the Sneetches with the stars are white nationalists. And they represent America, man. That's right. See, I guess I can't see those dog whistles inside of this wonderful message that he wrote. So the only way to see that dog whistle, guys, is to become what? The stereotypical white.
It'll done, man.
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you something. We all knew that wonderful author was writing about white power, man, even before I got here on this planet. Okay, because see, I'm not old as Dr. Seuss. Okay, even before I got here, man, someone told me my mom was a womb. There's gonna be a white author, man, and that thing he writes about is gonna have a hidden message in it for us white nationalists. Take back our country. So, as I was listening to that story and watching those Sneetches, I said to myself, that story represents us, man, and our white Jesus. See, and all of those Sneetches without that star represent all the rest of you. You know what I'm saying? All your Latinos and all of your blacks and Mexicans, whatever you are, man, Samoan and Aborigines and all, you know, stuff like that. Non-American people, that's what I'm talking about. They worship all your Aborigine gods and all of that stuff, man. The Aztecs and the Egyptians and stuff like that. We don't want that here, man. Don't come over here with all your soul brother stuff. Yeah, man. We already let you be free. Don't push it, man. Thank you, Dr. Seuss, for keeping us stable and focused on the true message of white supremacy and look, trying to take away this American Patriots books. White power. See, that's what they are trying to convince us of. I guess what? These are hidden messages, y'all, to all those white people that really this isn't about fighting against racism. It's about hidden messages of white power. Let's continue.
5-year-old gets the point of the story.
I get it.
At the deepest level, it doesn't matter what we look like. Because underneath it all, we're all the same. We're all human beings. We're in this together. All that outward appearance stuff is pointless.
Right.
It just makes people hate each other, and it makes us look ridiculous.
Children know that.
If there's a more powerful statement on the universal brotherhood of man, it's probably not in the children's section of the bookstore.
Right.
For 60 years, American children have read the Sneetches and books like it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons we have the country we have today, in which most Americans, those who don't work at the universities or for the Joe Biden administration, accept Martin Luther King's most famous precept.
Right.
That what matters is the content of our characters, not the color of our skin.
Now, what I find to be
why do we have to keep saying these words?
The story that
It's starting to get it on.
They are fighting against an author that supported liberal views, that fought against racism, in which they all claim they're doing. They're all fighting against racism. They want equality. At least that's what they're telling us.
Right.
And I'm sitting here thinking, Tucker, that's pretty deep. See, whenever I see the liberals walk up to a mic, get a camera in their face, they never address the country as American citizens. No. See, because what that would imply is that we are all one nation. All of us are people. And the first thought should not be, well, you're an Asian American, you're a Black American, you're a white American, you're a Latino American. I think the message behind the Sneetches was that we're all Americans. Now, with that message, the Democrats can't function. See, they cannot push and peddle their division, their identity politics, their racial divide, all of that stuff. How do you think they're going to operate? Having to give real policies. You know they don't make those. So what they need is the Sneetches to go away. See, they need the message behind Dr. Seuss and unity and racial harmony to go away. So now we got to insert racial connotations to the book where there is no racial element in it. Because see, if y'all ever realize the real message behind the Sneetches, then that will reveal that we're really the Snitches. See, these are the folks that's out there like, all right, we can't let the Sneetches out snitch us and telling all these people that country we live in is not what, 95% white nationalism? The country we live in is not completely driven by systemic racism. We can't let that message get out. And Dr. Seuss was ahead of his time, see. And now here he is pointing out the very harmony that they claim they want to accomplish in America. But they don't really want to do it, see, because it's their business model. Thus, Dr. Seuss, we got a silent sheet. What else will they be coming after, guys? And see, this is what scares me. If they can find reasons to say Dr. Seuss is racist, it discriminates, it stereotypes, what other books do you think they're going to be coming after a while? If folks don't stand up to this, all of those Christians that went down to vote, what happens when they start turning their direction towards the Bible? Oh, yeah, man. It's stereotypical. Yeah, you know what it does? It's racist. It's isolating people. It's dogmatic. It preaches hate, segregation. It makes people feel bad on the inside. Yeah, it always gets in people's conscience, and you should be allowed to do whatever you want with no conscience. And it bothers us when you guys use it to tell us that you think you're better than us, even though you don't. You just want to be left alone and practice your own religion. But I interpret it that way because what you're trying to do is make me not exist. So I want that Bible banned too. Starts off with Dr. Seuss, ends up with the Bible. Yep, that's right. Give them an inch, they'll take them out. Let's continue.
The Sneetches affirm this. The story is a plea for colorblindness.
Say what?
And that's why the forces of wokeness hate it.
Tucker,
and Dr. Seuss.
That is deep.
When the people in charge cancel Dr. Seuss, what they're really trying to eliminate is a very specific kind of mid-century American culture. A culture that championed meritocracy and colorblindness and the superiority of individual achievement over tribal identity. These were once called liberal values.
Yeah, once.
Modern liberals don't want to be reminded that they once believed any of this.
Hold up. I seen somebody say they can't hear. What's going on? Can you hear me now? Did I come back? Did I go out? What happened? Somebody on Facebook, give me the green light. Tell me you can hear me. If not, I got to troubleshoot real quick because I don't want y'all to miss the punchline of the Sneetches. Okay. So somebody give me, okay, wait. Somebody say hands. I hear. Okay. So then it might be an individual like device. So let's continue. We're going to try to continue. if it does cut out on the hearing, you can also catch it on my Facebook page where it seems like it never cuts out there. But anyway, now, so Tucker right here just exposed the real reason why all of a sudden now Dr. Seuss is off limits, because he actually is doing the reverse of what the Democrats claim, they're fighting for, Now, we're fighting against racial division, but yet creating it. That's what they're doing. So thank you, Tucker, for giving us this deep breakdown, man, of this. And let's go ahead and let him hit his dismount.
Your kids are allowed to read Dr. Seuss. They will know this was a different country not so long ago. A place where people tried hard not to hate each other. A place where the population was encouraged, begged by its leaders to reject identity politics in favor of universal values and the things that connect us all. Dr. Seuss was never a major literary figure, but his memory matters more than it ever has. The battle over Dr. Seuss, what he stood for, the battle over what it means to be racist, will have consequences that extend for generations. And if we lose that battle, America is lost.
Wow. Thank you, Tucker, for breaking that all the way down to its very last compound. And see, what is very crazy about this whole cancel culture and shut down Dr. Seuss is here he was pushing for what they all claim that we should all be, shooting for. Not seeing people based on their color, all of that stuff, their sex, all of that. And yet, so many years have gone by, whereas folks have been fighting for that. It's probably less popular today to get up in front of a crowd and say, let me tell you all something. I can't stand blacks. You probably would be looked down upon by most white people too, unless they come from the same back hill wherever you came from. Most likely, all Ku Klux Klan members are embarrassed to even mention. Yeah, that's right. I'm a Klan member. You might have one or two running around, but I guarantee it's not the masses. And so they're making it appear that all of this progress meant nothing. All of the efforts to weed out racism in our society was a waste of time because it just went undercover. It just lied dormant until 2022, 21, wherever, and just came back out of nowhere. But people buy it. That's the problem. Let's move on. Tucker, man, I try to fight it, but Tucker got so much good stuff right now. He's going to address some other issues that's going on.
Let's get it.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson. Tonight, things change fast, but it's our job to keep track.
Oh, break it down, Tucker.
It wasn't so long ago that our taste-making class had decided that Andrew Cuomo of New York was the single greatest governor in American history.
I heard that too.
Reporters who covered him didn't so much ask Cuomo questions, they swooned blushing in his presence. People who passed out Emmys gave Andrew Cuomo an award just for holding press conferences.
What?
Over on CNN, Jeff Zucker handed the governor a recurring spot on his little brother's TV show. Yes, Andrew Cuomo is quite a bit taller than Chris Cuomo. For a moment there, Andrew Cuomo was the man. He told us he was a steely mixture of Abraham Lincoln and Polly Walnuts. He was just what America needed in crisis.
No way.
In case you think we're overstating the magnitude of the hype around Andrew Cuomo, if you have a minute, look up the exchange from last May between Robert De Niro and Stephen Colbert, two formerly talented entertainers who've been warped beyond recognition by partisan bitterness.
That's true.
Watch as they wax pornographic about the awesomeness, the singular awesomeness of Andrew Cuomo.
Now, guys, this is the moment to send the kids to bed. All right.
Y'all gotta go to bed.
You're about to hear some very
good night.
Swooning over Andrew Cuomo. Okay, y'all.
Fuck your wife.
Just get nasty, y'all. Hold on for a minute. Where is it? Okay.
Mr. Fuck your wife, Cuomo.
All right.
Not mine.
Since we're talking about love and stuff with Andrew Cuomo, I want to make sure. I can't even find it, y'all. I was about to hit him with the turn off the lights. And let's light a candle. Right, so here we go. Let's listen.
At one point, Colbert loses all control and describes Cuomo as the leader, quote, the world deserves. Cuomo, governor of the world. It's hilarious. At this point, it's painful to watch, though, because no one seems to like Andrew Cuomo anymore.
No.
He's been Me Too'd for saying naughty things to women.
What?
Even Andrew Cuomo's former friend.
Now he's been
Weinstein. Cuomo was hired, in fact, one of Weinstein's defense lawyers.
What?
At this point, it's hard to imagine that Andrew Cuomo will be governor of New York for much longer. No one who knows Andrew Cuomo could be shocked by any of this.
Right.
For more than a decade, Cuomo has been an awful governor of New York for reasons that have nothing to do with sexual harassment. So that's bad too.
Yeah, that is bad.
3 years ago, Cuomo's closest aide, someone he described as like a brother, went to federal prison for 6 years for bribery.
What?
Last year, Cuomo.
Now, guys, I'm starting to question the judgment of the liberal media and the Democrats. How is it that they overlook all of that eval? How is it that they always overlook the obvious cues of corruption, things like pedophilia? How is it that Hillary and Bill always end up friends with the guys who like the kids? I just don't get it. I think that would be kind of hard to overlook and just ignore. I mean, you're telling me while Bill was on that airplane with Epstein, never stopped for 1 second to say, hey, Jeff, what's going on, man, with all these young girls? These tenderonis keep walking by me. Nobody asked that question? You're telling me, Prince Andrew, I do say, as I've noticed, Jeffrey, that there's quite a bit of teenage girls walking around your palace. Would you happen to be into any shenanigans? Nobody asked. Nobody started to wonder about what's going on with all this mess. They all were blindsided. When it all comes out, they're all like, I had no idea. This is crazy, man. I was friends with that guy for 20 years and never saw it once. Now, here we have all this coming out about Andrew. Now, the problem with all of this is, what type of judgment do you have? Why are we listening to the liberal media ever? You know how many people they ran through their networks and then come to find out that those folks was garbage. Now I'm questioning your judgment or your motive, because you can't tell me that you didn't see the writing on the wall with Michael Avocado / Avenatti. You couldn't see that was a slimeball lawyer, huh? No, you didn't see it. Y'all were on there talking about he might just become president. I love what he says. Tell us more evil stuff about Donald Trump. Yeah, and then come to find out he was a slimeball. Couldn't see that. Couldn't see that. What is James Comey is a slimeball? Couldn't see none of that. No, okay. Couldn't see none of this and Cuomo. None of that and Joe Biden. Yeah, you couldn't see all of that evil with that laptop that was just set right there. And then, come on, look at it. You can see it yourself. No. We refuse to look at it. We don't want to see the evidence. As a good, upstanding, trustful news organization, we don't look at false information sent by Russia. We refuse. And you're a Russian agent for trying to show us those facts. See? So now, if you can't make good choices like that and you overlooked all of that, I don't want to listen to nothing you got to say. If you're Joe Biden, the gold standard of COVID response, I can't trust your judgment. Let's continue.
Famously caused the lonely deaths of thousands of elderly New Yorkers locked away in nursing homes. So from day one, Andrew Cuomo has been a disaster for the state of New York. And yet, the Democratic establishment has relentlessly defended him. Why have they done this?
Good question, Tucker.
Well, because he helped them maintain what they want most of all, and that is power.
That's true. Nothing
has made elected Democrats more powerful than the COVID pandemic. They began as politicians. Lockdowns made them jobs. Andrew Cuomo understood the power of COVID immediately.
Yes, he did.
As early as last April, Cuomo declared the corona law would last forever. I don't think we get back to normal, he said.
What?
I think we get to a new normal. Now, at the time, there was no vaccine for the coronavirus, so many people reluctantly accepted Cuomo's prediction of normal.
Like it is.
But 11 months later, we have multiple coronavirus vaccines.
What?
Infection rates are falling along with deaths.
Okay.
And yet the message from the Democratic establishment has not changed.
What?
Your life is never going back to normal.
Why not?
We aren't surrendering our power over you or your children. It's permanent. Now, the media, rather than question this, amplify the message, and they do it for their own reasons.
Cahoots? Are you telling me, Tucker, that the media also is narcissistic and they want to see how many people obey them and their evilness as well? You mean that's why they hang out at NFL football games and Super Bowls, sitting back there, right behind me are all the people, the super spreaders there.
Is it? I ain't done. And I got some very important stuff to talk about.
Seems by that equality of outcome is undesirable.
Well, men and women won't sort themselves into the same categories if you leave them alone to do it of their own accord. I've already seen that in Scandinavia. It's 20 to 1 female nurses to male, something like that. It might not be quite that extreme, and approximately the same male engineers to female engineers. And that's a consequence of the free choice of men and women in the societies that have gone farther than any other societies to make gender equality the purpose of the law. Those are ineradicable differences. You can eradicate them with tremendous social pressure and tyranny. But if you leave men and women to make their own choices, you will not get equal outcomes.
Right, so you're saying that anyone who believes in equality, whether you call them feminists, call them whatever you want to call them, should basically give up because it ain't going to happen.
Only if they're aiming at equality of outcome.
Oh, what would be the legitimate and what would be the illegitimate deductions that an observer might make from the fact that America is, roughly speaking, 50% women, feminine, and yet there's only a single woman senator in Congress? What would be a legitimate, what would be an illegitimate deduction to make from that?
Well, as I look at numbers
Paradox.
from various places around the world, I don't find anything faintly resembling an even representation of people in any institution anywhere in the world, broken down by any way. There's been a recent study of military forces around the world in which they can find no country in which the military force represents even approximately the ethnic composition of the society. Sometimes the poorer groups are overrepresented, sometimes underrepresented. There are all kinds of factors there. What's amazing to me is that this notion that people would be evenly represented, except for these institutional policies, that notion has had such momentum behind it without a speck of evidence being asked or presented.
See, I'm leading back now to the question of why is there a single woman in the Senate, although half of Americans are women, and I guess I'm asking you whether this is a transcription of implicit anti-feminine values in this society.
Well, in a country where I think just over half the people are women, that if they wanted to fill the Senate with women, they could very well do it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it may very well be that they take on the prejudices of men.
All sorts of things are possible. It's also possible that there are other reasons why women don't choose to get into positions like politics, because they have a set of demands which are very tough for most women to meet, and at the same time do the other things that most women do, such as raise children and so on.
That's what I was inviting you to speculate on.
Yes, I know that from my own case, I've been invited to be involved in politics and electorally and otherwise. And given the values that I have, there's just simply no way that those two things can go together. That what I would have to give up in terms of my personal life would just not be worth it to me. I suspect that that's probably true for a lot of women. When I did a study of academic women, I found that women who do follow academic careers, get their PhDs and so on, have much lower rates of marriage than either non-academic women or academic men, and much higher rates of divorce among the few who do get married. Apparently, there must be a great deal of stress in that. And just from people that I know, I can see where there is a great deal of stress in trying to have two people following their career when one is expected around the home to provide all the housewifely services in addition to writing those articles and books. It gets to be a little much.
So you would dismiss as thoughtless any complaint against a society that had only one woman in the Senate, or only 11% blacks in Congress, or only 6% Jews, or whatever.
I wouldn't dismiss it. I would simply say, if there is evidence that you have, let us see that evidence. What I think is really tragic is that assertions have been made, not only without evidence being offered, but without anyone even asking for evidence. It's as if these self-evident truths have been brought down from the mountainside.
Ah.
Barbara,
And we're not.
Barbara, the reason that you don't hear about it when blacks do it to whites is because they need to make white people look like racists. And so if a white did it to a black, it'll be all over the news and they'll promote racism, white supremacists. But when it's black and doing it to the whites, you don't hear about it. But there are white,
see, that's what I'm saying. Again, it was just on the news where this black guy had went into this bar full of white folks waving a gun around that didn't have any bullets in it. He was mentally challenged. And that was all over the news. And anybody know that this man was harmless. He wasn't going to do anything. But he did have a gun. And he was waving it around. And he did scare a lot of people. And they put this man in jail for 60 years.
Nice.
Deontay Brown, thank you for all you do, Reverend Jesse. Invite Earl to church.
Nice. Nice.
He won't be able to hear you. Huh?
Next phase.
I want to go to Deborah, a first-time caller. Deborah, thank you for calling and thanks for holding. You're on the air.
Hi, Jesse Lee. I was hearing you this morning talking to Ernestine, or Ernest, is his name Ernestine? Telling him that women lie.
Yes.
And I have to say, I disagree with that. I don't think it's a gender thing. I think there's honest women, and I think there's honest men, and I think there's men who lie, and I think there's women who lie.
Why do you think men lie?
Well, I mean, I know someone who lies, and I think he lies because he's afraid of the consequences of the truth.
Give me the example of a man lying.
Okay, I'll give you a big one. I found out 6 months after that my husband had bought an airplane. I was in a garden center, and I was talking to someone who we both knew, and he said, "Your husband must be doing really well. He bought an airplane." I said, "He did?" And I disagreed with it. And you might think about I had a righteous anger because it put our family in a position.
But where's the lie in that?
The lie in that is there's lies by omission.
What does omission mean?
The lie is saying that the lie is finding out. For one thing, okay, well then, do you want to know a lie? Do you want to know the lies that I find out?
I want to know the omission. You're like, the lie is the omission. What does that mean? Where's the omission?
It means that as a couple, we should be talking together about big decisions made in our family.
Who made that rule?
Who made that rule?
Yes.
Well, that's a rule in the family.
Who made that rule?
God puts. Okay, here's the thing.
Who made that rule?
Okay, there's no set rule, Jesse.
Right. So why did you say that's a rule?
Why am I responsible?
That's just a rule of the family. No, I'm trying to let you see all this omission and these rules you have. A fake idea of women, and that's not how men deal.
Right.
Okay, so if a man lies to me and says
didn't
he's
lie
somewhere
to
else
you.
and he's not there,
He just
He
didn't
didn't
tell
lie
you.
to you.
oh, he didn't?
About the plane, he didn't lie.
He never said
Oh,
nothing.
okay. Okay, then
Oh,
it's
you
all
talking
good.
all this
Is that what
crap
you're
about
saying? It's all good?
you talking all this crap about
Omissions.
omission. It's omission, and I got righteous anger. You don't have any
I
righteous
don't
anger.
think that crap.
Your
I don't think
anger,
omission is crap.
your anger
Jesse.
is anything but righteous. Your anger is of your father, the devil. You don't have righteous anger.
No, you're wrong.
No,
Because
I'm
my
right.
father is God the Father. I'm
No,
a Christian,
Satan is
and you are wrong.
Satan is your
And I
daddy.
think that
Your
you've got a
daddy.
dislike for women, and I don't
See
understand
there?
where it
There you
comes
go.
from.
Yeah.
You are in denial, and you're trying to take over your husband and control him, all in the name of Jesus.
Oh.
You need to repent,
that is not
Deborah.
true.
It is true.
That is not true, Jesse.
And you caught
That
up
is
with this
not true.
crap talking about you have righteous anger.
You say a lot of stuff that's presumed truth about people.
Like
and
what?
It's not right.
No,
And you know what?
Deborah.
About all women lie.
Deborah.
That's presumed truth. You don't know what his mother's like. You don't know what her story is.
I do
you
know
don't know
what she's
happened.
like. I do know what she's like. He said what she's like.
You know what? No.
And I never
he
say
said
all.
what he
I
thinks
said,
she's like,
Deborah.
but he's never talked to her. He didn't seem to know that she felt that way.
Deborah.
You know?
Deborah.
And plus, I know you say
Deborah,
that.
Deborah, hold on, Deborah. I'm gonna put you on hold if you don't shut up.
Wow.
I
now
always.
That is really not very Christian.
Deborah, I'm gonna let you go if you don't shut up. Yeah.
Wow.
So be quiet. Leave your husband alone. Stop trying to control him and the family. All right. Back down and obey your husband. If you truly are a Christian, you will obey your husband.
Do you know what? What if my husband said, I'm an alcoholic, we're not paying the bills, and I know this happened with my neighbor, and she decided that she'd let her husband lead the family. Case after case of beer went into the house. The mortgage never got paid. Her parents held the mortgage. He lost the house. They lost the house. She ended up having an affair with his friend because she couldn't handle it anymore. He didn't deal with things. You know what?
No,
the man
she
can
had
be the
the
leader if
affair
God
with
is his leader, but you don't just follow everything a man says because a man can lead you into evil.
She had an affair on her husband because she is slut.
After.
She is slut. What I want you to know,
you that you're judging
what I
the whole
want you
thing.
to know is that you need to back down and stop trying to control your husband and to control
You don't know enough about me to know that.
and control his children. Because if your husband can afford to buy an airplane, finance is not bad. So you're lying about that.
Right.
You're just trying to control it because you're playing God and you're on an ego trip. You need to go and repent.
You know what? That's not true. I'm not on an ego trip.
Then you need to back off your husband.
You know what? You don't know enough about the situation.
I know what you've told me.
You don't know enough. I listen to you and I listen to your show, so I know a lot more about you than you do about me.
I know
you
that.
You talked to me for 5 minutes on the phone and you've got this much perception? I don't think so.
That's all I need from you, Deborah. I know that if your husband can afford a plane, he can afford to take care of you. You just need to back down and stop thinking he needs to tell you everything.
Well, I can tell you that psychology is not your calling.
That's for sure, because they're dumb. Thank you, Deborah. Call me again. Go and repent.
I will. Yeah.
Go repent, Deborah. What a mess.
A mess.
Her husband bought a plane and she up there bitching. He know what he's doing. Leave him alone.
What? Imagine if I bought a plane.
She's just mad because
you
he didn't
just
tell her
blame
you were buying it. That's what the issue is. You didn't let mama know you're buying the plane. Super chats. Be lives.
Imagine if I buy a plane. You're going to complain.
Super chat, Streamlab.
I'm going to just tell you, let's go to
so
Africa.
We have Linian Chin. Omission means submission to mama, the God. Deborah gone nuts playing God.
I never known my grandfather sit with my grandmother. Oh, I'm making the decision. I'm gonna go out and buy a new tractor. What you think? My grandfather would just go and buy the tractor. And my grandmother like, oh, that is so nice. Let Punchy drive it. Joel, would you sit with your wife if you wanted to go out tomorrow and buy a new car? Would you sit down with her like, honey, I'm going to buy a new car tomorrow. What do you think?
It would depend. I mean, I don't think I would hide things. If I believed it was the right thing, I would do what was right for the family, but I wouldn't necessarily not bring it up.
Man, shit. Man. So, all right, y'all. Coming up in here, like, follow, share, and subscribe again. Appreciate y'all for coming. And let it ride until we get a guest up.
Folks who don't obey them and their overlords and the Democrat Party and the globalists and stuff, you guys better obey us, because when you turn on CNN and you hear us pushing propaganda and telling you, get your butts back in the crib and put that mask on, if you don't and got the nerve to be independent, we'll come down there and embarrass you and demonize you and talk about how all of you on the beach enjoying yourself are super spreaders. That's what they're doing, Tucker? Let's finish hearing about all of this.
When Democratic politicians become more powerful, so do their spokesmen in the news media.
Oh.
Stop expecting life to go back to normal next year, read a New York Times piece from September. A month later, the paper ran a story with this headline.
What?
The first COVID vaccine will not make life normal again.
What the, you know what?
Not everyone
Here we go. Why are we doing it? Why are we doing all of this? We done tried to go ahead and the curve, and we blew through that timeline. Then it was, you know what? We have vaccine, and that came, and all of a sudden, take the mask off, just work with us. All of these deadlines just keep getting pushed back. And I think it's because it's a tough decision for them to relinquish all of that power. Yeah, it's pretty hard for them to say, man, we
go to spread and benefit.
Folks around, using this pandemic to get our way. How far can we milk this? We already done used it to change the voting process and got away with it.
15 days.
We done already used this to destroy the whole middle class and all of these people's careers. Got away with that somehow. We done already used it to make sure folks walk around looking like they're in a movie, like Outbreak or something. And then when folks don't have it on, those idiots with it on attack them. Hey, buddy, where's your mask? Yeah, you don't need to have Cuomo say you need to put a mask on, because Cuomo told me to tell you that you need a mask on. And I say, you know what? Come closer. You can see my mask. There it is. Now, let's continue.
Eat that, of course, because it's ridiculous. The whole point of the vaccine was to bring life back to normal.
That's what I
But the fact that people might live normal lives deeply bothers the New York Times. Go to their website today and you will find this.
What?
COVID-19, the U.S. is edging toward normal, alarming some officials. Some officials are alarmed you might be able to go outside without getting their approval first. Your kids might get an education. Most of the Times interviewed officials rather than parents. If there are times to talk to parents, here's what they might have heard. This is the second largest school district in the country. They need to figure it out. They're out of time. Science, facts, all states that these kids need to be in school. These are mental distress. They have to go back to school. You can't take one more day of forcing them to sit in front of Zoom when they're not learning and they're hating school and they're depressed, they're dejected, their grades are falling, they're depressing. It's disgusting.
We're fighting for our rights to go back to school because science says that it's safe and the UTLA won't let us.
Teenagers are depressed and dejected and they are regressing. That's a word from a mother in Los Angeles. People who paid attention have known that for a long time and knew it was happening. The new analysis by Fair Health shows just how destructive the lockdowns have been. Worse than we thought. Worse? Now, the survey didn't rely on questions they asked people. Instead, it looked at the data. Billions of healthcare records and insurance claims. Here's the top line.
Now, see, here you go. You guys are taking it from the emotional to the logical. You know those Democrats, they're allergic to data. They don't like those facts. Get it away, man. Get it away. Let me tell you how it makes people feel on the inside. when racism is the motivator of telling people to go back to school. See, they only want those kids to go back to school because they're white nationalists and racists. They want to see them die. What? Oh, these are all white kids in that district? Well, this is still about racism somehow. Trust us, we know. All right, let's finish it.
The COVID-19 pandemic has had a profound impact on mental health, particularly that of
freedom, guys.
And obviously, I cannot cover it because he is my brother.
What?
Now, of course, CNN has to cover it. They have covered it extensively, and they will continue to do so.
Really?
So when it's bad news, but when it's good news, have at it. Isn't that were the worst part of this, but it isn't? Seriously, why does the media and our politicians see the sex harassment story as a far bigger one than the rest home deaths?
Yeah.
Sure, unwanted kisses are creepy, but compared to thousands of deaths, now you want him to resign over kissing, but not death?
Thank you, Greg. So not only did they parade this dude around like, you're the champion, yes, you're the champion, you're the champion. Yeah, there was blah, blah, blah. All of that. They were singing praises to this man. And now all of this comes out, which once again is an indictment upon their what? Judgment, their hypocrisy, all of that. Now you got 3 women that just came out of nowhere. Now, most of the time I would be willing to give the person the benefit of the doubt and a chance to defend themselves if that was the rules that everybody was playing by. But unfortunately, the Democrats set the rules that soon as somebody come out and say something about you, if it's a woman, automatically you want to believe her. Out of office and
how are you?
All right.
It's been a lifetime, huh? Seems that way.
I'm over here dying, just staying up. I was eating all day. I went to some seafood buffet earlier. My grandmother's
buffet.
Yeah, a little seafood.
I have a reverb here. Hold on, let me take care of it.
All right.
Wait, hold on. Let me see which this is. I want to pick one and ditch the right one here.
Hello. So she had a reverb. She has to leave and come back. Trying to get the audio together, but in the meantime, momentarily, appreciate everybody for joining, like, follow, share, and subscribe. All right. There we go.
All right, let's try this again, just for kicks.
All right.
Yeah. So how have you been?
Cool. What do you think about Cat in the Hat? The China banning of the cat. I grew up on Cat in the Hat. Sure, that was before me, but you know.
Well, of course, I'm familiar with it. That's a prolific piece of fiction in I call it fiction. But to me, they're trying to replace everything. And it's actually not just replacing, it's a rewriting of history
in general.
It's just going to be, I'm saying, in 10 years, I mean, who's going to recognize this place? I mean, I just learned about Vanilla Isis on the way.
Oh, wow. That's the thing.
Okay,
pull that up. I don't know what that is.
Let me just put it here. I mean, and I still have no idea what it is, but this was an experience with an Uber driver, and I'm just like, oh my gosh,
I see.
He wants to go there, and yeah. I'm like, you know what? Just take me back to pick up my car.
Please.
Can you just do that? Let's just do that. You know, that's. I think he has no idea. And then he starts talking about conspiracy theories, and of course, you've spun some new ones on me. You know, yeah. So you know, it's a rainy day here. I'm calling it a IT band Wednesday. So yeah, but I had to get away from all that. That was just like, look, I'm really tired. You know, I had to my car. I had to drop it off. Like, I had to get it towed in today. It's exhausting. But so that's why it's been a long and patchy day.
Yeah.
So but I think, you know, that they're not, that they've done everything else. I just think that I don't see it in anybody successfully being able to stop all of this madness. It's because they have had their grips on so many institutions for so long. I just think that they're just fulfilling what they want to do, what they've always wanted to do, and they see an opportunity. And you know, I saw CPAC. You know those. I'm just not impressed with CPAC. You know, it just seems like everybody's going back to business as usual. Oh, everything's fine. I just don't.
CPAC
I don't know.
CPAC is actually ruled by the Jewish community in total. Only reason why I know, because I did a security function for him, and I was security personnel for him. Before I knew what it was, I was just there, just working. But now I know what it is, and we were having discussions about how come, because they had so many programs, wonderful programs. CPAC in general isn't bad. It's the presentation of the commercial aspect that's horrible. It's just like the news. It's a commercial aspect to it that ruins the golden pieces of it. They had programs in which you could go to Israel for free and check out things. You know, everything's paid for, based on you just being African American, a minority, being involved in the conservative movement for a specific amount of time. You could bring a friends, kids. It was like it was just like a ride-along program. But I mean, yeah, the commercial aspect ruined what was legitimate as far as what people see. They really tried to keep it away from African Americans and knowing what was going on when I was working as security, doing, you know, in person. They didn't want nobody to really know what it was about. It was like, oh, it's just people just come together. It was a lot of informative stuff. Every single college was coming and helping the Jewish community, and it was choosing their schools. That's why I was like, oh, okay, makes sense, because when they had their bar mitzvahs or whatever, and they get their $10,000, they could kind of choose which school they want to go to. But African American community don't necessarily got that choice, trying to go to the top school. We do now because we have the programs, you know, affirmative action.
Well, that's interesting. I've never heard of that. I mean, so you're saying that they had a program? What was it, like an ambassador program, or was it an internship, or?
It was somewhere along the lines of both of those. It depended on what they had. Your access, your based on which one you were doing, gave you specific access. But these meetings were definitely heavily guarded, and I didn't find out until I was working as security, and we had police that was inside, and they was telling us, that Secret Service was protecting the whole bit. It was basically letting us know that it's heavily protected, but we didn't understand that it was coming straight from Israel and all of these conservative, what do you call not religions, but cultures, conservative cultures that were coming over here and having a whole big pack meeting. It wasn't just them; it was them and Muslims, but it was conservative cultures that were all coming together nationwide. That was 3 years ago, three and a half 4 years ago. But now I know what it's about. So interesting.
I think what I'm on about is from the political standpoint of it all. I'm just thinking that they were not exactly united in the last.
You're right. You're right.
So how can you go and put on this kind of a show right now? It's like, oh, now that Mr. T's gone, everybody's got something to say. Everybody wants to talk now.
I mean, the perfect example of what you're talking about is when B. Tatum said that the example of conservatives being a Carlton or being a Fresh Prince is basically saying that we are monolith.
But see, that's a kind of hypocrisy. That's the same hypocrisy.
It's only two kind of conservatives
that liberals hit black people with all the time. So why do you want to add people? Why are you bringing division into the party? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But if you're going to be in part of something, then you shouldn't be. Why create these subgroups and say, oh, it has to be this way? But yet you said you left the other party for the same reason. You left the other party because you said you were treated like a monolith and like you were unintelligible. But now you want to take that same ideology and go to another party and tell them that they're doing it wrong because they're not doing it. You're just not doing it the right way. But I want to still do that.
Yeah. I'm about to pull that up because it's just crazy how that's supposed to be just easily accepted.
A lot of these people are just plain jealous. They're jealous of Candace Owens. She's about to start a brand new show. In 10. I mean, she was on live, I think, earlier. She's an entire something that used to be a warehouse, I believe. And you got these adversaries that they will attack anybody because
so you need a website. Go to.
They wanted to rise, above. They thought if they could get eye to eye, knee to knee, or knee high as a pig's eye with her, they thought that that they could somehow outcompete her or out whatever. But she's already established. She actually knew DT before any of these other people that were on that panel.
Oh, it's beyond that, man. It's beyond that. When I tuned in to people that just wanted me to hear their perspective, liberals on Instagram, I was on certain people's lives. They sent me that stuff. I said, okay, I'll check it out. They were literally saying, well, if we don't agree and we think that your message is not logical, we'll either tune you out or make fun of you. I'm like, that's normal though. Okay, so if we do it, let us have that standard, because you're basically saying you can't even agree to disagree. You have to go to the fullest extent, making fun of what I believe, because you don't believe what I believe. Now that's the full reason of what are we going through right now. That's the exact reason why we're going through what we're going through right now. Because somebody says $15 an hour minimum wage isn't the solution, and you think it is, and you say it's common sense, and I say it's not.
It's not a one size all. That's not even the one size fits all.
Right.
It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. And on top of that, you know, when they do things with the minimum wage, they are actually suppressing. They are suppressing and they're disenfranchising people that can't compete. If you don't have a high
because
school
the
diploma, if
cost of
you're a
living
low
is
skilled
different.
worker, if you're a low skilled worker and you don't have either a formal education or some type of, you know, trade or
You
higher
wouldn't even get the job.
right. But at the same time, you know, people used to, you know, even $15 an hour, that's not something that you can raise a family off of. Look at the cost of living.
It's not
It's
because
like,
the
who's
cost of
doing the math here?
exactly.
Can they
That's why I
not do
said
math?
they don't recognize that the cost of living goes up instantly. The only reason why I know is because out here living in DC it's cheaper to live in Maryland. Maryland it's right. They're touching each other. You know, without the political lines, it'll be the same state, literally. But the reason why it costs more is because it's political, and like I say, it's not a state, nation's capital. So now they have more money invested. The same reason why they can charge you more money when you get a ticket. It's more money invested in the city. You know, so everything, and now they're trying to create it total. They're trying to create it where they want Democrats, everybody, as far as the establishment is concerned, wants to make DC a state. So if you make DC a state, then they have then they could change their gun laws, and they could totally change and overrule with the federal laws because it wouldn't matter because they have their own. If you have a state, you can create a separate constitution. So it's it's just insane because they even want to create it where you can buy the land and be almost like a monarchy. They're trying to create these new laws that combine the situation where they buy where it's the state and the people in the government can buy the land. So, you know, so then they can create laws based on how they see the land fit. So they're literally trying to change it into a it's Marxist. It's Marxist. But it's crazy, you know, communist, Marxist, both of them. Totalitarian, 100% rule. But it's coming down the pipeline. We'll see. But I'm about to play this, and we'll have a little bit of
Go for
commentary.
it. Yeah, go for it.
Here we go, because this is insane.
Or no? This video is brought to you by The Untitled Store. The Untitled Store. Get the merch link in the description section. Like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell so you get notifications anytime I go live or make a video. Make sure you still subscribe to my channel. Hit that join button so you can join the Tatum Squad. Like this video. Comment on this video. Share
this video.
Get into it. And gentlemen,
share this video.
This year, I have no desire to go CPAC. One of the major reasons why I didn't attend CPAC, even though people wanted me to go to CPAC, is because I had a baby. And which one is more important, CPAC or the birth of my son? So
your son.
I didn't go to CPAC this year. And even if I was invited, I'm not too enthusiastic about being there. Nothing against anybody that want to go. It's just me. I just don't. I've been around too many fake conservatives and stuff that I really just don't want to be there.
Understand.
Too
many rhinos.
Thank you.
This clip because
so many
this was
rhinos.
brought to my attention. I saw it on the Instagram.
Nothing
and it is
getting
about
done.
Black conservatives. And this young lady, I have no idea who she is. I never heard of her a day in my life. Nothing against her. It's not personal. I'm going to talk about the concept in which she's referring to. And I think
that girl is
and probably the majority of people on this
I've
panel
seen her with Brandon
probably feels the same way
Scott.
about this subject matter, which
her name is Shamika Michelle, I believe that's what they call her. I think that's what they call her.
Underlying messaging here that I want to talk about. Now, this is my personal opinion. You know, hey, you don't have to like it or whatever the case may be. Let's roll the film. So let's go through the panel real quick because I happen to know a few people on this panel. This is a panel at CPAC.
So funny.
I'm assuming it's about Black conservatives because I think she was talking about it.
Personally knows
talking about it. So, you know, this gentleman here is Maj Toure. Maj Toure, I believe, in my personal opinion, have zero credibility as far as I'm concerned. Maj Toure ain't even his real name. I have no respect for this person. This is Adrian Norman. I know Adrian personally. Adrian and I disagree, but I believe Adrian is exactly who he portrays himself to be. He's on the stage saying the things he say.
Right.
Some things I agree with, some things I don't, but that's who you're going to get.
That's who you are.
This person ain't who he say he is. I don't know this person. I don't know this person. Angela Stanton is the person sitting here, and she's incredibly disingenuous. She criticized me publicly for marrying a white woman. So I don't believe anything she say. And I think this lady is Sonny
which is
Johnson,
really low.
I never met
below
before,
low.
but I know
Really
she
low.
Candace Owens with a passion. So that's setting up this panel. So when this young lady speaks,
The traitor
I believe
to the black.
majority of the people in this panel agree with what she's saying. And this is kind of the perspective that we're coming with. So let me play what she had to say, and then I'm gonna make my commentary right after that. Roll the film.
I think they've been able to do that by being more inclusive. And I think that's something that we can learn in the conservative
like you.
party. There's not just one type of black conservative. And I feel like that's where we failed over the last 4 years. We propped up one type of black conservative. And just because white people like them, it was like,
I don't know
oh,
what
yeah,
she's
we love
talking.
her. Oh, gosh, she has her own thinking. You know, oh, yeah, woo.
It's like
That's
an
the best
infantry.
argument that wins.
Just so y'all know, she's talking about Candace Owens.
Right.
That wasn't necessarily who black, you know, the black people really identify with. And I like to kind of make this analogy. A lot of people are familiar with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Yeah. Now this is a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down.
Oh.
Okay. Just say Carlton and Will were both conservatives. Carlton could go to Bel-Air and he could talk to the people of Bel-Air all day long. But you could not send Carlton to Philly to talk to those people. You would have had to send Will to talk to the people who had the same
Will got his
type of
butt
life
whipped too, so you can't
that
use
Will
that.
had. So when it
When he
comes
went
to
back to Philly, he got whipped also.
being
So that doesn't even
stop
work.
propping up Carlton Banks thinking that Carlton is going to be the one to be able to communicate with the wheels of the conservative party.
Well, Will
You're gonna
got
have
spun
to prop up
around.
the wheels so that they can speak the language that people understand and share experiences with. And I think that's how we fail. I feel
I think
like
she's a liberal. I think she's a closet liberal.
making sure they have people that represent all around. And
all
that's
around.
what we need to do better as conservatives. You can't take Carlton to Philly going, it's not unusual. No.
Oh wow! And look at him chugging and jive.
Okay, so
what? That's very poor. That's her best argument.
You see everybody
laughing. That's blackface. That's blackface right there.
And I don't know that she's talking about Candace Owens. Now,
he goes to pop culture for reference in these times. That's the best she had.
People who are in the black conservative movement,
it's like really
absolutely despise people like me, people like Candace Owens. They absolutely despise us. And in her perspective is that there's only two types of black people to a certain degree. Two types of black people. You have the Carltons, which if you think about what Carlton was on The Fresh Prince, was he was corny, he wasn't popular, he was uncoordinated. He was kind of like the laughing stock. Look, when they talk about Carlton, they laugh at him. He's the laughing one. And then Will Smith was the cool one, down with the posse. He was, he was the image of black people, and Carlton was corny and whack. Well, this is the problem that I see, and this is the problem that I see with the idea of thinking of this way, as if the black community is only a hood type personality and a very, very educated personality. There's a lot of black people in the middle of this. Not everybody in the black community, even who live in Philly, even who live in the hood, have the same experiences. I know people that live in the hood that had both of their parents, and they grew up in a safe environment. None of their family members were in gangs. They just so happen to live in this jurisdiction. And I know people that grew up in a really, really positive community, but they weren't always in that position. This is in my opinion, this is an intentional despise of people like Candace Owens, who people are just jealous of. I mean, it's an energy, not the people. I don't know that girl, but the energy is just jealousy, because many of these people have been in the conservative movement for decades. Candace Owens shows up 4 years ago and completely dominates. And the reason why she dominates, it has nothing to do with the Carltons and the Will Smiths of our era. It's because there is two different folds of people that become popular and people who are not popular. And the people who become popular are people who are conservative, like myself, who happen to be black.
Right.
The people who never really reached the heights and success of people like myself and Candace Owens and others are people who are Black who happen to be conservative. There's two different ways of thinking about it. I make videos, I make content specifically about conservative values, and I just so happen to be Black, and I just so happen to grow up and have some of what we consider a Black experience, which is a portion of a Black experience. This is not the Black experience because you don't grow up in wealth. That doesn't mean you don't have a Black experience. Black people come in all shapes, forms, and fashions. But I have had those experiences, and I'm, one of, many people that have had that same thing. But Candace Owens, and people have said these things about Candace Owens as if Candace Owens don't have the Black experience because she's now successful, and we got to be very careful at having these conversations and doing things like that because it's counterproductive. If you focus on being primarily Black, and then you want to drag that into a party of saying, let's be colorblind, let's eliminate the barriers and walls, you're not going to go as far. Like this young lady here that ragged me and ragged Candace Owens for being married to people who weren't Black. You're not going to get very far when you have that racist undertone of Black before conservative, Black before country. That's not gonna bode well. And I think that's why some people are successful and some people are not as successful. Candace Owens is a fiery, smart, intelligent, bold young lady. And that's why she's successful. It has nothing to do with somebody propping them up. It has nothing to do with CPAC propping her up. It has nothing to do with the RNC propping her up. It has everything to do with the fact that she's bold. She say what she feel. She's like a Donald Trump. And she just so happened to be a female and so happened to be Black. And people love her. She's saying what people are dying to say, but they just feel that they cannot say it. On the contrary, the people who are not as successful and maybe spend more time talking down about people who are successful than probably doing work or doing more work than they are currently doing, said, oh my God, this, but it's because people that are honest thing. This is about we'll have a major platform, and Candace Owens and I are a perfect example of that. And I know she's a much bigger brand than I am, but we're in a perfect example of that. I grew up very differently than Candace Owens. I grew up and complained I'm a conservative because of Black people. He's sitting on this time. It's not a mistake that because this.
I guess that was it. But yeah, I mean, you get the point. I mean, that's it. Can't hear nothing. There we go.
I'm so bad about that. But the thing is, that's more of a liberal. They're bringing liberal ideologies and liberal subversion over to.
Yeah.
They want to shut down. They want to shut down. At the same time, you say you want to promote different types of conservatives, Black conservatives, but then at the same time, you're trying to shut down one. Why would you say it? Because we promote a different. No, I'm just thinking. That's a very catty thing to bring to the table. It's a very catty thing. And why would you're at CPAC. The best you could come up with for CPAC is a sitcom that lasted, I don't know how many seasons. That's almost a whole generation behind. Many of these kids don't know. Some of these kids, right? These 18-year-olds don't remember
at all.
Fresh Prince. So who was she trying to connect with? I think people were getting more into the nostalgia of what she was talking about rather than trying to make a connection with the point, trying to figure out, okay, you're saying that
she was basically trying to say the millennials is what she was trying to say.
Well,
millennials.
I don't even think even the thing about it is even a Will Smith benefited from the wealth of Black people that did well, because Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil were actually Black professionals.
Right.
So
teaching him the way.
They had friends of all backgrounds on that show. So I just don't think her argument was very. That's that's a false equivalency. Plenty of people. There are plenty of people that have come up from where they are. Well, even if you're a first generation graduate of college in your family, you have come up on some level. If you became a teacher, if you went to a trade school and you started a business, you can find diversity and you can find a variety of Black people everywhere. She's promoting a false equivalency, and I'm just thinking why are people like her on the stage? Why are you on the stage? I can think of a 15-year-old that has a better argument than you right now. Chandler Crump would have been more appropriate to sit up on that panel than what you got there. You get hypocrisy when you get a microphone. You guys hit people with hypocrisy and liberal talking points. And we don't have 3 almonds and a Hershey's and a pistachio nut in our Hershey's box, so we're not. And boo-hoo, somebody else made a mark in conservatism. That's what this is about. This was their lashback, their backlash at Candace Owens. That's what that was. Because if you keep watching that, I think Angela Stanton starts talking, and she has made comments. When they're not getting along, and I'm just thinking that why would the conservative want to embrace that? Is that what Black people are bringing to the party? Division? Why would they want to bring that? If there's enough, if we're doing the right things, we have enough common goals. That why are we arguing about? Why are we talking about the way somebody talks or speaks, or somebody that speaks more King's English than the person down the street, or somebody, why is that a problem? Those are the kinds of things that kids deal with in school all the time. If you use slang and sluggish and you're lazy with your speech,
making fun of you.
You're acting white. So how is what she's saying she's not saying any, that's no different than what she got up on that stage. Right. I dealt with it myself. You're talking about somebody that dealt with that middle and high school. By the time I got to high school, it kind of fizzled out because people realized, look, you can't change me. Like, you're not changing me.
Right. I mean, that's why you're trying to get somebody that was a 5 generations from South Carolina not to be a Galagucci. Like, that ain't gonna work. They got the culture, their own way to talk. I mean, you basically, almost sound like people from the island. I mean, basically,
it's really embarrassing when you look at it. Like, when you played that, I just I'm feeling even more embarrassed. I'm like, my gosh, is that the best CPAC?
I told you, it's crazy.
Need to start speaking up and saying, hey, you have this opportunity. You have a unique opportunity right now, and you want to do an equivalency right now to the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Out of everything that's going on,
everything
is the best thing that you could do. You could bring to the table.
Oh yes, that's the best they could do.
It's pretty bad. So I'm saying, I don't know what the answer is. I wasn't impressed with some CPAC. I didn't tune into all of it. I just let people, I just tuned into what other people selected. But I'm just thinking, they're all up there saying good things, saying the right things. But when it came down to it, they all folded up like a t-shirt to me. It's just, it was just, what is it? MTG. I think she's still, maybe she's even working on something for 2A in Georgia right now. I'm not sure. I need to do my own research on that, but I don't know. I just think the politics have ruined this country, the media and the politics. Where you hardly hear anybody quoting anything that's law, that's steeped in law, or that's based on the premise of law. I don't know. As Brandon was saying, just the people that were up there. I mean, those are conservatives. Really? I just say may the best argument win. Like, just if you take all the color and the blue and the red, I think conservatives win on. They typically can win any argument based on an argument. The left, all they have is division. Division based on your ability, division based on your skin color, division based on, now they've gone to the crotch of men and women. So where else are they going to go? Where are they going to go next, DJ?
Your spirit and your soul. It always says that you can have a female spirit. So
well, here's the ticker. Here, this is going to be my campaign for a while. Let me try to get it in focus here. So everybody can do it.
Here we go.
Holy smokes. But yeah, I'm just, if she thinks she's disappointed, look at me. I didn't even make it to the stage. And yeah, some people just want their 15 minutes of fame. That's what I'm starting to believe.
Yeah, I mean, it's
and to this, and this is my final word on this, okay? And I'll yield back. I'll yield all the way back.
All right.
They're not going to be able. Candace is unstoppable right now, so I yield back.
You said it. You said it, not me. But I mean, yeah, it's true. It's true. An unstoppable force that they want to shun before it gets so relevant that she has her own media platform in which they can't physically touch in no legal and virtual way. And at that point, that's where they're trying to get. They're trying to reach their cause, in which before she even cements it, because it's already in progress. Things are already being figured out right now, in which they're already talking with the Trump package is I think what he called it or whatever, hacked a new platform separate from everything else that has the ability to be taken down. But now we have to put more stuff into our local areas, like for the elections.
School boards are a nightmare.
School boards.
Every
I'm about to say, I don't even know what we could do because the unions are destroyed. So I don't even know.
I don't think they're going to open back up, DJ. You know what I mean? The school, somebody was saying, I hope they never open back up because they've been.
I can't say that. I can't say none of them. Texas is the opening all the way back. Certain states are opening all the way back up. No mandatory restriction. But that just happened today.
Well, I'm gonna be in a state that's more sane soon. So I'm just, I don't know. But you better believe there's gonna be some kind of penalty. They're gonna try to do something to retaliate.
Yeah, they're gonna try to do something for real. Yeah, you're right. I'm about to play a little something. Let me But it's along the lines of exactly what we're saying.
Oh, well, I'm just going to put this out here. Tomorrow we'll be doing take 4.
Take 4.
Take 4 on the mocktail. The mocktail. I got the vaccine. You got the vaccine. We
got the vaccine. I did a good thing this morning and convinced my grandmother not to take it.
Oh, that's impressive, DJ. How strong
my example
is
you're right. I gave my example was I said the only reason why I strongly don't suggest you take it is because your experience is telling me all your friends, she's in her 60s, tell me all her friends that took it, the second dose gave them some kind of side effect that was undesirable. Every last one of them. I said that should be good enough. And you're too old to be experimenting on things that were never experimented by any animals, let alone human beings, let alone human. And I said, you can go ahead and take it, but it's gonna be a hurt doctor because if they hurt you, I'm gonna hurt them. So it's up to you. If you want to go ahead and take that, have them put that up in your arm, because if you think I'm just gonna let a doctor willingly hurt you, knowing that they know the side effects and can't tell you, and they already got them recorded because I had to look them up myself as far as people who already got affected, what the side effects was. I looked them up. I just ain't tell her because she put it to suggestion out there. I just told her, just know the side effects already happened. It, at least let time pass if you're gonna think about it. That was it. And then she changed her mind. She was like, "You're right. I'll give it 6 months to a year. That's enough time for me to analyze all the people, all the people who didn't. You got both vaccines. That's adequate enough time to figure out it's the risk to your body. It's your choice, your body, all that, body, my choice." But yeah, I mean that's where we're at right now. My body, my choice. Is the government gonna force you to put something inside of your body, or you won't be able to move around, get stuff, travel, whatever. It's just that's it. It's about rights. At the end of the day, I'm blah blah blah. I'm not a doctor and all that madness. Professionals that are watching this channel. But I appreciate everybody for watching, like, follow, share, and subscribe to this channel. Check this out.
Okay, you have no audio, sir.
Big topic of the last couple
There
of
you
days. We're talking about HR 8 and then HR 1446. I'm going to talk about them individually. I'm going to give you some of my input on what I think can or could not happen. So what I want you to do, put the hashtag shall not infringe, because I think that a lot of these guys have completely forgotten about the shall not infringe part of this Constitution or a Bill of Rights when they introduce crap like this. Now, let's talk about this. HR 8, this is the first one we're going to talk about. A Bipartisan Background Checks Act by a guy named Mike Thompson out of California. And, of course, he is a Democrat. Well, I went and took the liberty of just highlighting a few things that really jumped out at me. And basically what it is you're talking about requiring a background check for every firearm sale. That means that you can't roll out here to Walmart, go to the parking lot, and sell a firearm to any one person. And it also means that you can't go out and sell, say, a firearm to one of your good friends. That's it. Without them going through an FFL. But here's the part. It shall be unlawful for any person who is not licensed importer, licensed manufacturer, or licensed dealer to transfer a firearm to any other person who is not so licensed unless the licensed importer, licensed manufacturer, licensed dealer has taken possession of the firearm for the purpose of complying with subsection S. Now, here's the thing. HR 8 was easy to read. HR 1446 by James Clyburn, that shit was all over the place. The only thing that I can tell from that one is that, they just want to be able to dictate why, how, what you can and cannot have, when you can have it, and how long it's going to take. And, it's up to them to figure it out. If you haven't lost it yet, here we go. HR 8 paragraph 1 shall not apply to. Now, if anybody thinks that this stuff is bipartisan, it's not bipartisan. Shall not infringe means shall not infringe. But I'm going to read you the one part of this law that if it does come into effect or they sign it into law, which is the part that really is unusual, or not unusual as far as the Democrats are concerned. I mean, Hillary Clinton even said it a while back. Every Bill of Right is subject to reasonable legislation. And that's the whole thing. Everybody goes, well, this is reasonable. And that's my fear, is that you're going to have some rhinos, Republicans, who should fight for our Constitution and our Second Amendment and our Bill of Rights. They're going to go, well, that sounds reasonable, doesn't it? Just like they did in California, because I think in California, you have to go through an FFL no matter what. And so anyway, paragraph 1 shall not apply to, and the paragraph 1 was the one about you can't sell it unless it goes to an FFL. A law enforcement agency or any law enforcement officer, armed private security professional, or member of the armed forces to the extent the officer. And what they do is they put that disclaimer in there so that it covers all the law enforcement agencies, all the alphabet boys, all the army, the military, whatever, that they don't have to go through FFL to purchase their firearms for the agency. Okay? But what it does say is a transfer that is a loan or bona fide gift between spouses, between domestic partners, between parents and their children, including step parents and their stepchildren, between siblings, between aunts and or uncles, their nieces or nephews, or between grandparents and their grandchildren. If in the transfer has no reason to believe that the transferee will use or intends to use the firearm in a crime or is prohibited from possessing firearms under the state or federal law. Now, a gentleman called or sent me an email yesterday, and I'm going to reach out to some individuals because in North Carolina, we have our concealed carry permit. And with that, I don't have to go through and nix. They fill out a 4473, hand me the gun, we're done. So I'm not sure if that reflects on us as CCW holders in North Carolina. Also, it goes on to say a transfer to an executor, administrator, trustee, or personal representative of an estate or trust that occurs by an operation of law upon death of another person. A temporary transfer that is necessary to prevent imminent death, blah, 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 that's a red flag. A transfer that is approved by the Attorney General. A temporary transfer if the transferor has no reason to believe that the transferee will use or intends to use the firearm in a crime or prohibited from possessing a firearm under state or federal law. And the transfer takes place and the transferee's possession of the firearm is exclusive. Okay, so we're getting into some weird little semantics. Okay, so while they do that, you have to be at a shooting range or at a shooting gallery while reasonably necessary for the purpose of hunting, trapping, or fishing if the transferor has no reason to believe or the transferee intends to use the firearm in a place where it is illegal and has reason to believe that the transferee will comply with all license and permit requirements such as hunting, trapping, or fishing while in the presence of the transferor. Remember in the past, they were saying you couldn't even let somebody borrow your firearm even if you were there. So this is the scary part. What I'm talking about with H.R. 8 is that these individuals, well, they could read that and go, well, that's reasonable. And the term shall not fringe went right out the window. Okay, so let's talk about this. H.R. 146. Now, this thing right here is terribly confusing, and it's crazy. And it says, it's by James Clyburn down there in South Carolina. Section 2, strengthening of background check, procedures to be followed before federal firearms licensing may transfer a firearm to a person who is not such licensee. Yeah, so there's a bunch of stuff in here, term limits, talking about not less than 10 days, not more than 10 days, up to 25 days. This thing is really, really confusing. So let me just go along with this narrative that I pulled off of the NRAs. The current 3-day safety valve provision is vital and protects gun owners in numerous ways. The safety valve provision ensures that
Yeah, I honestly, it's a sea of. There are a sea of bills that have already passed. In the House. So it's just a matter of, are they going to get passed, in the Senate?
To get these. Yeah, you're right.
Because they had them, they had them already locked and loaded before the election. Turn this down a bit.
Right.
I'm like deer in headlights.
All right, there we go. So, HR 1446, 115. No state. Okay, well. Yeah.
A Clyburn special.
Immigration.
Oh, do you mind if I share something? I always want to say I got something for you.
Of course. I could use some material. You know.
Hang on. Let me get it. Right.
Got all this crazy stuff going on. They're getting rid of. They're trying to get rid of Cat in the Hat. They're trying to get rid of everything. Cat in the Hat, Benny Rice, and Aunt Your Mama, and what else?
They've got the. Have you seen that book, the Gay BC's book?
The Gay BC. Oh my God! I just can't believe it. I can't believe it.
Hey, I'm gonna share this whenever you're ready.
Yep, I'm ready. That was just funny.
I'm freaking stuck. What the heck? Stuck. Okay. So I have it whenever you're ready.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, so I'm gonna put. This is coming out of Instagram. So I hadn't heard this clip, but I just thought I would share it with you. Hopefully we can play it. It'll come through. So here we go.
Oh, talking about negative.
Hang on a second. I hate it when this happens.
Right. So you can't pick the sound.
You want me here? Look, how about I send it directly to you?
Let me make sure.
I'll send it directly to you. I'm going to send you the direct link and see if you can make it work better. So if you'll take a gander in your private, let's see, take a gander there, and I'm going to send it another way. I'm going to go. I am always frozen these days. I'm so sick of this camera that I have. It's outrageous.
It's all right. I got to get a new camera too. We've been thugging it out.
I'm gonna do another. I want to do an entirely different setup later this year once I get, revamped. When I get totally recalled. All right. So can you get the volume on that to play?
Yeah, I'm about to play it.
Because I hit the bottom, I hit the button. And it's, it seems like Instagram recently has gotten to where they don't like to play things that come off of, Instagram or. It's really sad. It's a very sad display of very sad display.
Do you really feel safer under Donald Trump? COVID has taken this year, just since the outbreak,
300 years.
More than 100 years.
Wow.
Here's the lives. It's you need to think about it.
Look,
more lives this year than any other year for the past 100 years.
90% of the time, I have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about.
Oh my God. That's somebody else put that together.
It was amazing. I couldn't have anything any better.
I can't believe his family is, it's beyond.
Letting it go. They're like, hey, I could believe it because when I was working at MSNBC, Pat Collins' family, they were saying, fake it till you make it, show. It's not based on reality.
But he's made it. So what's the next thing he's going to make?
He's really not making anything. It's just the JLB. It's just bringing cash to come home. Your job is to lie to them. Yeah. You get it? His job is to lie. It's like, it means nothing.
I didn't say anything about how he made it. I just said he made
it. Hey, JOB, even if it's to be.
When you look at most of these people, they've been there for decades. They've been in those positions longer than
I mean, he looks most like the guy that was in The Simpsons with the bald head. He looks just like him. The maniacal guy that always did like this with his hands. He looks exactly like him. Look at him. I mean, that's his twin. He got the nose and everything. I mean, come on. Still got the hair on the back of his head. It's not yellow. He's white in our realm. But man, where's the Lockhart perspective when you need it?
I have to check in with her. I haven't talked to her. I have to check in with her. I think she just posted a video, which I need to tap into.
She was posting your boy Biden doing strikes on Syria and the effects and how the betrayal, the loyalty of now the American people want to be war hawks instead of anti-wars. I thought we were all anti-war. What happened? They just went out the window overnight because your boy approved of a strike. Now we're doing good things overseas, and we need to be there now, right? That's what's happening now. Like I don't get it. B6.
Yeah, well, I will certainly catch up. What a crazy. This feels like Monday. I mean, I guess with rain and we don't typically have rain, and the people don't drive very well when we do have rain.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a universal kind of thing. People just don't drive very. They panic. Somebody even told me that we had hailstorms somewhere.
Yes.
But I'm going to tell you something. There's so many that I'm not even going to go there.
Oh,
I don't know.
Go ahead.
You want to do it now? Okay. Well, back during Hurricane Katrina, I don't know if you remember that hurricane. People were actually saying, I don't know who started this, but they were saying that President Bush he sent the hurricane to New Orleans. I was like,
I mean, hey, we had the technology, so it wasn't unspeakable. So, we already put out. The information was declassified that we had the technology to move hurricanes, so it didn't matter because we have live footage of us just spitting out clouds out of our new technology that we didn't have then. So it's not even like.
And I'm just saying, I wish I had maybe just kind of indulged a little bit more into. I just thought, wow, that's really bizarre. That's really crazy. But I didn't say it was impossible. That's not what I said. But I did not. I didn't give into my own. I've always been curious about how much I disagree with things that came out of liberals. And and versus what was put out there in the news media at the time with the conservatives. It's always the same thing with the liberals. It's always the victimhood and all of that, and woe was me, and I'll never be anything, and and I'm offended. I was like showing that school board meeting the other night, and I'm just thinking the first one offended wins. That's what we've turned. That's the society.
I'm offended that you're offended that I'm offended.
Yeah, we're all just offended.
Offended.
I mean, who would we be without the offenses? Can you imagine that?
It'd just be one big group think tank. Everybody just thinking the same all the time.
Da, 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 da.
That's beyond being offended. I mean, if you got basic communication, you don't need to worry about being offended. But if you want to shut somebody out because they don't think the same as you, then You're gonna be a thing. That's what we done.
Alrighty.
Oh, but I'm reaching here at 1 hour and 40 minutes. You got anything else?
I don't particularly have anything else other than I have said this. This is on the subject of white guilt. I've said it on my own show that white people have got to start standing up. It's not going to work out well the way things are going. And I'm just thinking they'll be amazed at how many more people actually agree with them that have this thing called the melanin in there. They'll be surprised at how many people actually agree with them. And I'm just saying, even if you don't think that way, or if you don't feel like anybody or think anybody's supporting or would agree with you, you still have to do it. You can't just keep getting steamrolled because they're going to just keep doing it. They think they can shut you down or subvert any type of productivity in these school board meetings. They shut people down on TV and press conferences, school board meetings, city council meetings. And you just have to get people out of your space and just put them back, listen, just because you say I'm a supremacist, that doesn't mean that I am. Just because you say it doesn't make it true. You can say it, but it doesn't make it true. You have to do more than, that's the problem with liberals. They want to be able to say anything they want, and you have to take it as law, as fact.
Yeah, it's law. No, he was about to say it as law. You're right.
Because you said it. It must be true because you're on the left. It has to be true.
I made that as a real statement to somebody. I said, just because I can accept your opinion without having to take your opinion as a law. And it blew up their world. That was even a statement. It was like, you're not accepting my opinion. I'm like,
we're all in a tough spot right now. I would not tell anybody. Do you think I'm going to tell somebody that's driving me in an Uber vehicle that I'm a conservative? Heck no. They might drive me straight off the bridge.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think I'm going to tell somebody that's a self-professed liberal?
I'm kind of a good person to slide that in there. I learned how to do it. I've been doing it for a minute. I've been doing it for about a year.
So you're getting in people's cars and they tell them
you can't necessarily say that word, but what you can say is you can slide in things that they agree with that will touch them emotionally. They won't realize it because they're affected with emotions, unlike you are. You work on facts. They work on emotions. If you could use that, if you know that stating something like my last conversation within the past 7 days with a Lyft driver was about it was saying that the police had traded, that the KKK traded their dogs for police hounds and
they what?
Yeah.
What?
That the KKK traded their dogs that they used to sick on the slave masters, traded their dogs that they used to sick on the Negro when they used to try to flee the fields, was the same dogs that they used to lock up people and all this stuff. The same propaganda they put before Malcolm X changed his mind about the whole white man was the devil theory. But so I asked him. I said, what about blacks owning their own business? He said, oh yeah, blacks can do that too. Yeah, that's right. I said, all right. So what about I said, so how are we gonna get rid of all this racism stuff? What's the fix? What's the big old fix? What is it? What's gonna happen? He said, well, it's already happening. He gave it to technology. Talking about how technology, and now that you can see it on the videos because of the last situation with your boy Jacob Blake. And I was like, no, y'all hold him as a hero. Y'all honestly see him as a winner. He's a trophy.
He's a pizza.
He was the token. I don't know what I don't know what to say to that. Like I'm stuck. I'm like, oh, I actually look at him and go, what did he do right? Number one, he said he was wrong. God dang.
But you know what? It's so funny that you're mentioning that.
He said he was wrong for going.
They don't even talk about the woman that this guy victimized. Aren't they the party of the women? She doesn't get to. She hasn't. Nobody's interviewed her. Nobody offered her a book deal.
But you throw him on a shirt and he popular and he a hero because Kamala Harris said it. So the Lord said it, so it must be true. Because that's your Lord, that's not my Lord.
Yeah.
You know, that's their czar.
Well, that was my ad. that was my piece. Just it's totally bizarro land, and just because I'm gonna be honest, I was literally just in an Uber, and like this guy went full on. He's talking about conspiracy theories. I'm like, you just said Vanilla ISIS to me.
Wow, I never heard of it.
A Vanilla ISIS?
It was just like I thought it was like
that will make one heck of a meme of Vanilla ISIS.
I thought it was like a movie or a show somebody made to be funny, like Vanilla ISIS.
We're gonna put that out there tomorrow. We're gonna say anybody tell me what a Vanilla ISIS is.
I gotta watch that show, Vanilla ISIS. Wow.
I mean, but this is what they say. That what did Nas said that ISIS is not even the name of the goddess. They switched it all around. I mean,
it's crazy.
So this is crazy. It's just he's talking about conspiracy theories, but I had never heard of that before.
Way out of there. He doing some good drugs, man. Some good drugs.
That's true. That's true. Well, DJ, I yield back. I have that's all. That's as I say. That's all I got.
All right. Well, hey, we wrapping it on up. I appreciate everybody for joining. Like, follow, share, and subscribe. I may have 1 or 2 videos that I played twice. One when I came on, and one when she came on, and
she. That would be me.
Yeah. He would be me.
Yes, him. He. Those are the right pronouns.
Came on, right? So I appreciate everybody.
Check your pronouns.
They're important.
Check your pronouns. Man, this is not. I don't know if I want to be in this. I don't know if I want to be in this in their order, in their new order. I don't want to be in it. No thanks.
Don't sue me. But yep. So like, follow, share, and subscribe, everybody. And any last things you need to say? Nope. Go ahead and give your handles.
Oh, my handles. Well, I'm on YouTube as Black Spring with Autumn, as well as Twitch. We're having a Twitch drive. If you're interested, just come over and see what it's all about. And we're just trying to hang on to what's left. That's it. So Twitch, predominantly YouTube and Twitch being the second backup. But I'm on Library too. But the streaming is definitely YouTube and Twitch. Thank you, DJ.
All right. Well, appreciate everybody for joining. Like, follow, share, subscribe, and
good night.